Hi class, today's lesson is lesson 5-8. Let's go ahead and take a look at the purpose. Our purpose for today is to multiply mixed numbers by fraction and other mixed numbers. There's no vocabulary for today, but I'm going to go ahead and ask that you record this illustration. Not only are you going to record the problem here, 1/3 times 1 1/2, but I want you to go ahead and copy down these two squares that have been divided into a half. So we look at this 1/3 times 1 1/2, and we know that that multiplication sign means the word of. 1/3 of 1 1/2. Well, let's go ahead and mark what 1 1/2 is here. So I'm going to use this highlighter, and I'm not doing a very good job, but there's one. I'm going to use this one hole here. And then we're going to use half of this hole here to get our 1 1/2. Half, 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 1 1/2. Now it says we're going to take 1/3 of that, so we're going to go ahead and divide these figures into thirds, and we're going to do that vertically. Okay, so roughly here and here, that's divided into thirds, here and here. So now we've got both of these squares divided into thirds, and I'm going to take 1/3 of each of these figures. So I'm going to go ahead and take yet another color. Take 1/3 here and 1/3 here. Now the areas that are the same color are the areas that we want to count for our answer. So 1/3 of 1 1/2 is this piece, this piece, and this piece. Well, what are the sizes of those pieces? Well, if I look at this whole, it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I've got 1/6, 2/6, 2/6, and this is a 3/6. So if that's 3/6, what we actually have is 1/2. So 1/3 of 1 1/2 is half. These combine, 3/6 combine to make 1/2. Now we can do that an easier way, of course, in drawing, and let's take a look at how we do that. It says multiply, write each answer in simplest form. Here we have 3/4 times 2 1/3. Now we know how to multiply a fraction times a fraction. Now we have the added feature of having a mixed number. So how do we get it into something that we know and are familiar with? Well, the answer lies in converting this into an improper fraction. So we have 3/4 times 3 times 2 is 6 plus 1 is 7/3. Okay, now we've got two fractions. One's a proper, one's an improper. Doesn't matter. Now we can multiply numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator. It's 21/12. I'll reduce that down, and we have 1 and 21 subtract 12 is 9/12, which reduces down further to 1 and 3/4. 1 3/4. Next. Same thing, multiply, write each answer in simplest form. 1 1/5 times 2/3. We're going to go ahead and transform this into an improper fraction. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 1 is 6. That's 6/5 times 2/3. Now I'm going to multiply numerator times numerator, which is 12. Denominator times denominator. 5 times 3 is 15. When we get to this point, I know I can divide both top and bottom by 3, which results in 4/5. Example number 3, now we have two mixed numbers. We're going to do it the same way. We're going to, now instead of just making one an improper fraction, we're going to make both of them into improper fractions. So 2.5 becomes 5 halves. 1 and 1/3 becomes 3 times 1 is 3 plus 1 is 4 4/3. Multiply those numerators together, those denominators together, and we get 20 over 6. 26 is the same thing as 3 and 2/6, because 20 divided by 6 goes in there 3 times. We have 2 as a remainder, 2, 6, and we simplify, and we get 3 and 1/3. 3 and 1/3. Finally, we have our last one. Same thing, 1 1/4 turns into 4 times 1 is 4 plus 1 is 5, 5/4 times 3 times 1 is 3 plus 1 is 4, 4/3. We have 5 times 4, which is 20, 4 times 3, which is 12. We have, how many 12s go into 20? Well, there's just one. How many are left? It's 8/12. We can further simplify that, reduce that down to, 4 goes into both. And we have 1 2/3. What I want you to go ahead and do is to multiply this whole number times this particular mixed number. In this case, you're going to have to convert both into improper fractions. And then the second one is an explanation. Tell how you multiply a mixed number by a mixed number. So you're going to have to take us through the steps in your words. We'll see you in class.